take a step, any momentum, taking a
Swallow. It's cheap water.
I'd rather have tap.
Not here.
Oh, hey.
All right. Welcome to another killer collab here on Real People, Real Content.
That's stabbing. I'm not. That was a stab. That was stabbing.
We're being our natural selves. Welcome. We're doing 2009's Friday the 13th Reboot.
2009. What a great year.
I don't really remember it.
My hair was a lot less gray, and there was more of it.
I just don't look at the gray anymore.
Yeah, it's 2000. I had a lot of great memories from 2009, except for Amber. Hi, Amber. She's probably watching it. She watches all my stuff.
Good shout out right there.
You know, it's funny because when you said you wanted to do this movie, when you hit me up a couple days ago, I watched this movie last weekend on my own.
Well, it was Friday the 13th.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a marathon.
Was it?
Yeah, Friday the 13th. Last Friday was Friday the 13th.
I thought it was Halloween.
You know, they end up on the same day. See what happened? You know?
Yeah, I don't think that's possible.
It's really not.
But you know, I was pretty excited to do this. I mean, I remember I have some fond memories. I told him that I was going to talk about this, and he said no, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because I have some fond memories. If you know what I mean. You know how we talked about segues last filming?
Yeah,
well,
this is not a segue.
This stabbing is definitely a segue of what I'm about to talk about. So, back in my prepubescent days, last month, yes, I was 14 years old. I took a sick day, and I put on the old 1980 version where we saw Kevin Bacon making sweet, sweet love to some lovely young lady, and I had some fun with myself for the very first time to that movie because it was the only movie that I had access to that had boobs in it.
And you've never enjoyed yourself more than that day?
No, it's all been downhill since then.
Pretty much.
You know, and honestly, this movie, probably not the only time we're going to talk about boobs. In fact, one of the producers of this movie, Michael Bay, sorry, I don't know where that came from.
He did some good stuff.
What?
I don't.
No. No, I don't like his overly CGI. I mean, honestly, if he had been more in charge of this whoa, speaking of tatas, excuse me. Guys,
just in case you don't know, every time we do one of these podcasts, we actually put the movie on next to us so we can keep it for pacing.
Those are fantastic.
And right now we're on the beginning.
Oh, wow. They're not quite stupendous like Juliana Gill, but oh, mama.
Not stupendous yet.
Those are just...
But they're definitely not real.
They're just pendous.
They're definitely not real.
No, those are not real. And every bit of it is wonderful. So anyway, Michael Bay is one of the producers of the remake of Friday the 13th, and he actually walked out. Oh, man, those were really nice. Oh, wow. He actually walked out of the screening
because he couldn't have his own way.
Yeah,
he couldn't have his way.
Because there was too much sex in the movie. I personally don't think there was enough sex. There's no such thing
and there's no
as too much
CGI.
sex.
There's no CGI.
Yeah, there. You know, actually, now that you mention that, if I bust out my handy dandy piece of paper.
Let's talk when we get there.
Well, I mean, we are there. This was the first Friday the 13th movie that had any CGI in it, and it was, the machete, the killings. Some of the killings were done with CGI, especially the boat scene, which we will get to later because we don't want to talk about too much. But, guys, if you haven't seen this movie, it's been 10 years, and I don't have to warn you about spoilers, but there are going to be a bunch of spoilers.
It's actually one of my favorites in this whole franchise.
Yeah, I remember seeing the first one. Obviously, my now
self-mutilation.
Mutilation. My now deceased step grandmother. It was actually, I believe, her birthday yesterday or the day before. But I was over my step grandparents' house for a weekend, and I had a gift card to Walmart, and I went and bought the Toxicity CD, the System of a Down, and I bought Friday the 13th from 1980. And I have some various memories of the sequels, most notably 2 and 3. But, I mean, I saw Jason X, I saw Freddy vs. Jason, but some of the middle ones I just didn't care to watch.
There was only one of them I didn't really like, and that was Jason Goes to Hell. That was the one with the whole spirit thing.
Yeah,
the magic knife with a descendant. It was just awful. Awful. But that was lead up to Friday the 13th, Freddy vs. Jason. So
I enjoyed that.
I thought it was entertaining, the comic relief, because I always liked Freddy Krueger.
Well, Robert Englund.
Oh,
We'll have to do something on that. But, what I've noticed with a lot of these old 1980s horror movies, they introduce a lot of people.
Yeah.
1980, Kevin Bacon. We got introduced to Johnny Depp in Friday the 13th. So.
No, Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street.
What?
Nightmare on Elm Street was Johnny Depp.
What'd I say?
You said Friday the 13th.
That's what I meant.
That's what I said.
That's what I meant. Nightmare on
Pretty
Elm
much.
Street. Sorry. But getting back to this, I mean, honestly, there were a lot of things in this movie that I thought brought a realistic aspect to the Jason character. And, you know, we've always talked about this movie being, you know, a remake. But a lot of people refer to it more as a sequel because there are aspects of the first movie right out of the gate.
Yep,
you know,
from the beginning, as soon as we open up.
Yeah, we see Jason's mother dying, and we actually see Jason finding her body and showing some emotion from the Jason character,
Grab the
which,
machete.
you know, I kind of feel bad for the little guy.
I
You
know,
know,
at that point,
he
yeah.
was born
He was
hideous
technically
and-
innocent. He was
Yeah.
innocent at that point. So.
Yeah, and honestly, if I was him, I'd probably kill a bunch of people too. But, you know, we get the start of the movie, we meet some characters, they're out, you know, they're camping. It skips ahead. It takes place in 1980 at the beginning where the mom dies, and then it takes place in 2009. And, you know, we see everyone camping. They kind of split off.
Well, in the beginning, they're trying to establish. Well, they're actually hunting for marijuana. They have a GPS that's trying to track marijuana. Is it legal?
They do the pot.
They smoke the dope.
They inject it. They inject the marijuanas.
Yeah.
I injected 2 marijuana once, and I became a rabbi.
Where'd you inject it?
Where do you inject anything?
Toes.
Sure. My third toe. Third toe over. But you know, we got a pretty decent cast here. We got some beautiful ladies, and we got the guy that was in that one show.
That narrows it down. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I don't.
Supernatural. Jared Padalecki.
No, I don't think that's the one. I don't think that's the one at all. No, it is. And as Whitney, who is his sister, we have Amanda Rigetti, and as Jenna, who is, I would say, the main character in this movie. You know, they focus mostly on her, but that is Danielle Pennebaker.
Yeah, I think she's from Disney. I think she did a lot of Disney movies or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with it.
Okay, yeah. So we have Travis Van Winkle as Trent, who always plays a
douche.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think I can say that.
You guys seen Accepted? I don't know. YouTube's kind of been like they can't let. I'm not allowed to say anything. I mean, seriously, I have to
edit.
tiptoe around YouTube more than I do my
Oh,
grandmother.
it's Google too. Google too. They
I don't think we can use that. Anyway, so yeah, we got a pretty good cast. You know, this movie did pretty freaking good in its opening weekend. It was actually at that time the highest grossing opening weekend for a horror movie ever. And
that says a lot. That says a lot.
Yeah, it was around $42 million. Now, I'm pretty sure that has been beaten at this point by It.
Recently, yeah.
Yep, but at that time it was the highest grossing, which it's not a great fact here, but no movie that's ever made anywhere near that much money has ever done that badly the following week. I mean, for doing almost $43 million its opening weekend, it finished at less than $100 million worldwide.
Yeah, well, but it's like I said, it's not like, you know, they don't know who's the killer, who the plot is. So it's not like you can really put teasers or you can't tell, like, oh, do you know what's going to happen? You can't even do that. So I don't know why people just didn't go continue to see the movie.
You know, I mean, it could have been word of mouth. A lot of times, if people see the movie, they say they don't like it. I mean, there were a lot of differences. We had the 8th different actor playing Jason Voorhees. It was Derek Mears. I thought he did a really good job. We saw something a little different. You know, right at the beginning of the movie, we see when they find the marijuana plant that he's set traps, and as we progress through the movie, he's not just popping out of nowhere. He's not just mindlessly killing. He's got his area. He's got his territory. He's a skilled hunter. He moves a lot quicker. He can use a bow and arrow, which we'll talk about more. But they have him more as like a survivalist that if you come into my area, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, he's protecting his homeland. That's basically what it is. And like you came onto his land, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I had any idea that Jason was anywhere, I would go there.
But the opening to this movie is like one of like the scariest that people have actually said, because he's got brutal with fire, and bear traps, and like just bones crunching. Like it's gross. And
they very very graphic.
Before even title card.
Yeah. No.
Before my movie even opens, before it even opens, he's killed like 5 people. 6 people.
Yeah. I mean, he puts the one girl into a sleeping bag and hangs her above the fire.
Yeah, who thinks of that?
Jason?
Yeah.
That's grotesque, Jason. You want everyone to look like you. That's
I don't think that
He's
works.
pretty hideous. Have you seen him?
Yeah, but I don't think it works like that.
He's got the weird hair.
Does he have hair?
Ah.
Okay.
The way all of it. Maybe he uses Nair. So, we see the one kid get trapped in a bear trap. He's stabbing through the floor. Well,
Oh yeah. That guy.
Whitney.
Oh, Whitney.
I gotta make sure. I'm not very good with names. I'll remember what I had for breakfast the first day of kindergarten. Don't remember names. Can't pronounce names. Sorry. But, I mean, they're in the house. They're kind of searching. And we see the machete, boom, plomming up through the floorboard. But, another thing right at the beginning of the movie that I noticed, and I'm sure a lot of people did too, is he doesn't have that traditional hockey mask that everyone associates him with. Which, if you look back at the original movies, he's obviously not in the first one, barely at all. I mean, as a Scream fan, we all know that Jason's mother, Mrs. Voorhees, did the killing in the original movie, and he pops up at the end. But in the second
That's
movie...
a dream sequence.
Right.
It's a dream sequence, yeah.
But in the second movie, he's got a burlap sack, which we see him wearing in this movie. And then in the third movie, 1981, 1982 respectively, he dons the hockey mask. And we see that that happen in the movie. We see him go from the burlap sack to the hockey mask in a later scene that will set up a little bit of foreshadowing for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, in the third one, he gets it from the...
No,
He's in the video game, too. I don't know if you guys play the video game, but I'm usually on it every weekend. It's
no, sorry.
Friday the 13th, PS4,
No,
also on
I
Xbox
actually
and
like
PC.
going on dates. Guys, I'm kidding. I have no problem with video games. But, I mean, if it's not, GoldenEye from N64
Oh, yeah. Definitely have that.
or Star Fox.
Yeah, I didn't like
Yeah.
that.
So, but this movie, if you guys watch, the opening sequence of this movie is 25 minutes long. And we don't get the title, the Friday the 13th, across the screen until 25 minutes into the movie. And that is actually the longest any horror movie goes without seeing
Title card.
So, in the original movie, there was the character Alice.
Yes.
And she's obviously one that survives everything, kills Jason's mother. And the actress was named Adrienne King. And the director is Marcus Nispel. Not sure what else.
Yeah.
And there's
I don't know what it is.
there's a couple, a few writers on it as well. And they originally had her coming back just for a cameo. And what I was saying to you earlier, and I really wanted to bring this up as well, was I thought it would have been amazing to have the actress who played Alice, who kills Jason's mother at the end of the original movie, to come back in a cameo as Jason's mother getting beheaded at the beginning of this movie. I thought that would have been really, really cool.
She would have been the appropriate age.
Right, but they ended up at last minute deciding they didn't want any characters from other movies. They were actually, I do not recall the name of the character, but there's one character who was in 3 movies who ends up becoming Jason's nemesis. He's constantly trying to kill him in a few movies. They were going to bring him back and bring him into the story, meeting up with the kids to help kill Jason, and it just didn't pan out.
Tommy Jarvis. He was in the video game. It was great.
There's a video game? We had talked about this, didn't we?
No, we did.
I have really bad memory loss. We kind of meet all the main characters. We've got Chewie, the comedic relief, Lawrence, the other comedic relief who likes to pleasure himself in the middle of cabins, which we'll talk about in depth later. We have Nolan and Chelsea. We have Bree. Stupendous Bree. So then we have, obviously, Travis Van Winkle, who plays Trent, and we have the beautiful Amanda Reggetti playing... Oh, no, that's Whitney. Sorry, we have Danielle
Hannah Baker playing Jenna.
Yep. So we have all these characters. They're in the SUV. They're heading into the campsite. Apparently, his dad has this big, beautiful cabin, but has never heard of Jason or the killings or anything like that.
Yeah, that's really weird.
But, they stop at a gas station, and we see the supernatural guy.
Jared Padalecki.
Yeah, Padalecki.
Who is the brother of the missing Whitney.
Yes, Whitney, missing. She's obviously dead, right? I mean, the machete was coming down right at her head. How could she possibly have survived that?
Spoilers.
She survives that. So, we see him talking to the sheriff, who is played by Richard Burgi, and he actually wasn't hired on to this movie until 12 hours before he was supposed to film his scenes.
Was he a real cop or something? No, he was just a random guy?
I don't think so.
Okay.
He was just an actor. But they didn't have him cast, and it wasn't until 12 hours before he was due up to start filming before they cast him. So they kind of shed a little light on what's been going on. You know, people go missing here, and we catch up with Trent and Jenna at the mini mart, and the brother walks in. We see the kind of person that Trent is. He's trying to inquire about his sister, and Trent's coming up like, "Hey, you gonna go?"
He's being a real douche.
Pretty much.
He's a douche character stuff.
Yeah,
I still go with the douche.
So they get to the cabin. We see it's gorgeous, beautiful cabin, and right off the bat, douche Trent is obsessed with everyone touching stuff. Hey, don't do this. Hey, don't do that. Don't play with this. Don't play with that. We see they have no cell reception.
Yeah, he's pretty much the one who, look at my stuff, look what I have, everyone loves me, but he's really just not the person that anyone wants to really be around on purpose.
Yeah, and we see the character Lawrence talking about his music, and the character Chelsea's, assuming it's rap, and him getting extremely offended just to find out that it is rap.
Just because he's like what, African American, he has to automatically do rap.
God. I mean, sure that happened to be the case, but we get in, we see that they have all kinds of marijuana paraphernalia.
Is that what that was?
I don't know. I've never seen it before in my life.
Okay.
So we see this gorgeous property, and then we see the brother yet again looking for his sister.
He's going house to house. And eventually he shows up at their house, coincidentally. Mm-hmm.
And before that, he actually shows up. I think he stops at an old woman's house.
Oh, yeah.
And, the old woman's very standoffish. She's like, a lot of people go missing around here. Just stay out of his territory. He doesn't want to be bothered, and neither do we. Yep. So we kind of get some hints as to, like, okay,
what's going on?
Something's not adding up here.
Like, they know something.
Right.
They know something, but they're not really saying specifics. They're basically saying, she's like, oh, people go missing around here all the time. Mm-hmm. They shouldn't have bothered him, and they just keep doing that him. And they're just trying to find out what and who.
In their defense, it's like catching mice with traps, man. I mean, you set out marijuana, and they will come. Grow marijuana, and they will come.
They will.
It's like it's a real Field of Dreams.
Yes.
So, we see Clay going house to house. We see him stop at a mechanic, and there's a guy there trying to sell him weed. And honestly, I really enjoy this movie, but this scene in particular, there's a couple others. I thought the dialogue was really bad.
I mean, but he's supposed to be a hillbilly. He's not supposed to be known for, like, talking.
Yeah, it's just it was just awkward. And overall, I really like this film. I don't want you guys to think that I'm like too critical. It was just,
I believe he wasn't a necessary character. Like,
yeah.
I didn't really care if he died.
No, I didn't really care about him at all. And it was just, but we don't see him die there. We see him die a little bit later. But yeah, his dialogue was just kind of off. So we see that Clay shows up at Trent's dad's house, and Jenna's like, oh no, he'll be fine. Come on in. Do you want something to eat? You want something to drink? And that was another thing. It was kind of like, on what planet do you think that your boyfriend's gonna be okay with?
Yeah, I think they just threw that in to like expand the story.
Yeah,
because it looked like they needed like some type of other confrontation.
Yeah, like interaction.
Yeah,
with them
just something
to see it, and we kind of see
very forced.
Yeah, and Jenna ends up going off with Clay to try to help him put out some flyers for his sister, and then we kind of see that interaction between Trent and Juliana's character, Bree.
Yeah, okay.
So we kind of see the interaction between them. And maybe something's going on. Something stupendous, perhaps, is going on.
Did something really stupendous happen?
I don't remember, but I'm sure when the screen pops up, we will see some, a pair of stupendous-y things in the future.
No idea.
I'm not smiling because I know what's stupendous. I'm just smiling because I've had part of my brain damaged and had a lot of concussions. So, so Trent ends up letting Nolan and Chelsea.
Willa Ford's character.
Yep. Oh, Willa Ford.
Oh yeah.
There are some. Listen, I am all about acting performances, and I mean no disrespect by talking about the beauty of Willa Ford or any of the other characters, or stupendous beauty. We can edit that out, right? We can edit that out.
Sure.
Cool. Whew. So, something awkward was not just said, and we didn't definitely cut that out. I mean, honestly, Trent, the guy who plays Trent, Van Winkle, I mean, listen, I like girls, but, hey, he may be a douche, but God, he can douche me anytime. And we're back from the cut that erased all the embarrassing stuff that I said, right? This is where we get to the part where we see Jason find the mask. We see some really inappropriate stuff from the stoner hillbilly and a mannequin.
Yeah, like he's had like a long-term relationship with that mannequin.
Where's he put it? I mean, unless
you really want to ask that?
Unless a termite comes and like has perfect placement for him to.
I mean, he probably made the hole himself.
Probably not a very big hole. Look at the guy.
Yeah.
Tiny shoes. Yeah. So we see Jason kill him. We see a wood chipper. And I don't know about you, but when I saw the wood chipper, I said, that's foreshadowing. Someone is finally just gonna not choke or burn or stab or shoot. They're gonna chop him into little itty bitty teeny weeny tiny whitey not gonna come back pieces. He's gonna chop him up. And unless this thing is T-1000 from Terminator 2 and he back into Jason, done.
Yeah, I was thinking it's gonna happen.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
There's no way they're just going to choke him out when they have a huge wood chipper there, right?
Yeah. They want a sequel.
I'll talk about a sequel in just a little bit. But as the movie progresses from here, we see, Willa Ford. Oh, Willa freaking Ford topless wakeboarding. Oh.
Now, did she always know how to wakeboard?
Great question.
Because she looked like she was doing pretty good.
She did not. Okay. She actually had 10 days to learn how to wakeboard. I don't know about you, but it would have taken me at least 20 to learn how to wakeboard topless. But she did it like a pro. And we get, again, some of the CGI.
20 minutes. Probably maybe an afternoon to learn how to wakeboard.
Sure. But we get some CGI action here. We get the arrow right through Nolan's head. And they were initially going to do the boat and the head to Chelsea. To Chelsea. They were actually going to do that with a stunt person, but they thought, it was going to be way too dangerous. So they ended up doing multiple pieces in CGI. We see Jason on the bank with the bow and arrow.
He was using his skills from being a kid. And archery range, pretty good.
Yep, exactly. And the original script had Chelsea seeing him on the shore as she did in the movie and growing tired and eventually drowning. And I'm really glad they went with what they did.
Oh, yeah. This
for
is more of a flash effect.
For two different reasons, the left and the right. But she ends up swimming under the dock, and we see Jason's up top walking. And
playing a little cat and mouse.
Yeah, and little Tom and Jerry. And she's just like, and then right through her head, her eyes go crooked. And
it goes lifts up,
boobs,
down. And he tries to get his knife back. And dunk.
Oh, I keep kicking this. So, both those two characters are dead. And we see Clay and Jenna have found Crystal Lake.
Camp Crystal Lake.
Camp Crystal Lake. So, they start exploring Crystal Lake. They are going into some of the cabins. It's a pretty creepy scene. I mean, can you imagine it's pitch black and you walk around and see... So we see Jenna and Clay, and they're still, exploring. They hear something, they hide under the canoes, and we see Jason enter with bodies. What we can only assume is Nolan and Chelsea, his most recent victims. Yeah. And we get a pretty heart-pounding scene where he's throwing over the canoes, and right as he gets to the one they're under, they're not there, they're over here. And we get a shot of his tunnel system, which, again, we talked about that earlier in previous movies. Jason's just popping up out of nowhere. Whoop, I'm behind you. Whoop, I'm behind you. And in this movie, not only is he faster, not only do they give him kind of that survivalist mentality where he's taken skills that he's learned and amassed over the years and uses them. But they also give him this tunnel system. And again, that was written into the original script, but two of the other people did not read that written in the script until after they had already finished filming, but they had come up with the same tunnel idea themselves and put that into the movie. So he's been in this area for over 20 years. He knows the woods, he knows the tunnel system, and he's able to get the jump on all these people.
I like how we first see it, because actually Clay and Jenna actually stumble across one of the tripwires, and the bell rings. And do you see where the bell is? It's underneath the tunnels. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And we see that his sister is still alive. She's down there. She's obviously traumatized. You know, there's going to be a lot of PTSD going on there. She's been down in this tunnel for 6 weeks. And one of the things that we see in the tunnels, and it's very subtle, I know you didn't know about this, but in the second movie from 1981, there is a character, Mark.
Yep.
And he is a paraplegic. And we see a wheelchair in the tunnel. And he's a character that did die. So we can assume that was purposely put in as an Easter egg. And again,
nice throwback.
This is considered to be a remake by most, but a lot of things point to a sequel. And actually, I'm going to bust out my notes here. Victor Miller was the original screenwriter of the original movie in 1980. And he took the producers and the studio to court because they were only paying him as if this was a sequel. And that is a far lower amount of money than it would be if it was a remake.
It's just a credit.
And he ended up losing in court because you see a lot of stuff that indicates sequel. We see the original head chopping. We see bits and pieces from the other movies that are included in this. If there's some stuff that you know about this, put it down in the comments section. We're ahead on here so we don't lose time on the video, and it's the stupendous scene, which we're going to talk a lot about. So buckle up, Buttercup. Stupendity is coming. So he took the studio to court, and he ended up losing. And they ended up... That's so nice. Like, that's how they have to be the perfect set of breasts. Yeah. Like, they are the best boobs I've ever seen in any movie.
What about court?
I don't know, man. He lost in court or some shit.
But then they called it a reboot.
Yeah. So he lost in court, but just to stick it to him, all the advertisements were that it was going to be a remake reboot. But in the end, it's more of a sequel than anything. So,
I mean, technically, I think by timeline, you can use it make it as a sequel.
Yep.
But from the original, kind of, because even if they throw in that wheelchair from Mark, and if they throw
well,
in
it
some
depends
of those
what
Easter
you're
eggs,
looking at. The timeline is there are some movies that are not going to be included in this timeline.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to take out Jason X, thankfully, and
Jason
goes
to hell.
There's a lot of stuff that ends up getting taken out. So, man, I'm just so lost right now. They're so perfect. I'm sorry, guys. If you just put this scene on that we're talking about and try to pay attention to us, you're gonna have the same problem.
I'm trying to look over there right now. You want to look at me?
So in addition to the wheelchair, we also see the sweatshirt that is worn by Mrs. Voorhees in the original movie.
Now I'm gonna have to look that up because I am actually curious of where the placement of that is.
I read that. I read it when I was doing some research on this, but I haven't myself seen it. So once they see the bodies, we see Clay and Jenna running back towards the house, and we see that Jason confronts Whitney. Yeah. And we see a necklace hanging around her neck, which you know a little bit about.
Well, the necklace is actually from the beginning of the movie. They actually didn't show it when she was running or being chased by Jason, but she actually puts it on from inside the cabin before she hops in the tub, and there's that scene with the machete through the floor, and that's ultimately one of the things that actually pretty much kept her alive.
Yeah, see, when I saw this movie, I didn't notice that. I thought that Jason just saw her and saw his mother and kept her alive, but that makes a lot of sense, you know, the necklace being there and, you know, him associating. So he's kept her alive, but she's traumatized, man. She's seen a lot of stuff. So she finds this GPS locator, she pops it open, and there's little pieces in it, little pins, and she ends up getting her handcuffs free, and she escapes.
She makes a run for it.
Yep. So she ends up heading back towards the house, and when we get a shot back of the house...
That's the stupendous scene.
Yeah, we're coming up on the stupendous scene, which I can't wait to talk about. So we get back to the house, and Juliana Gill is dancing seductively, and Chewie has his little shot glass with a fire. He burns his lips on. He breaks the chair. Trent flips out. Chewie says, hey, I can fix this, man. I can fix it. I can go down. I can go to the woodshed. And they go to the woodshed, and he goes to fix it. And we get a hilarious scene where he finds the hockey stick, and he's playing with the hockey stick. He breaks a light, and all of a sudden, Jason's there, and he turns around, and Jason's got the hockey mask on, and he's got the hockey stick. And he goes, hey, man, is this yours?
Oh, God. Are you looking for this? Because it completes your outfit.
That confrontation, that whole scene was both funny and extremely gruesome because obviously we see Chewie get a screwdriver. Now, I think it was a Phillips head. He thinks it was a flathead.
I mean,
tomato.
It's a screwdriver. It went through the neck. It didn't affect the killer any differently. So
He did. And then he gets strung up. So we go back into the house. And what do we find, Tony?
we find Whitney going to the house. And is that what we were talking about?
Nope.
What are we talking about?
Right before that, don't prematurely get to what we're talking about. Speaking of prematurely, we see the wonderful sex scene between Van Winkle and Juliana Gill, who has the nicest pair
Of stupendous.
of lungs for screaming as I have ever.
Was she yelling? I couldn't really
Oh, God, she was doing something, and it wasn't yelling. She may not have the biggest tushy, but, you know, she's got some of the best boobs I have ever seen.
They're really nice.
In my entire life. Like,
Perfect nipple placement.
I'm totally fine with fake boobs, but the natural droop, it reminds me of my ex-girlfriend. I probably shouldn't say that, although she still does not talk to me,
I'm gonna keep
I
that
really
in.
doubt
Just-
she's going to see
I'm
this.
gonna keep that in. Still.
Keep it in. But Lacey,
Apparently, he didn't keep it in.
that's not her name. She had boobs very similar to that. That nice, real, natural, perfect droop. And Juliana was...
And I noticed when he's talking about
Far
boobs,
better
his
looking
vocabulary goes down, and it just goes over
Yeah,
short words.
I'm practically a caveman. Like, I have evolved backwards, for those of you who believe in evolution, and the ones that don't, go back to school. So
Science class.
we see probably the best sex scene with the best boobs. Okay, maybe not the best sex scene. Monsters Ball was pretty good, but
True.
we see a great sex scene with some fantastic boobs. And we see that Whitney has made it to the house. She didn't know where the house was. She escaped.
Almost reached the window.
I mean,
She was like, this
it was
close.
very I Know
This
What You Did
close.
Last Summer-esque, where she's right there and she could practically grab them, but Jason gets her. Now she doesn't die, like...
Well, it actually reminds me of the Scream with Drew Barrymore. She was like right by her
Yep,
parents,
yep.
like,
and then
no.
but in both those scenarios, they die. In this case, she does not. But Jason drags her back to his lair, hooks her up again. We get back into the house, and, you know...
Clay and
Jenna are back. Jenna's banging on the door. They're having sex behind the door. They think that she's mad because they're hooking up. She doesn't care at all about that. She's got the hots for the dude from Supernatural. Ho ho, mama.
Who doesn't?
Ho ho, baby. If I was a girl, I'd ride that pig like a 25-cent ride outside of a grocery store. We can edit that out too, right?
Nope, keep it in.
Mom, please don't. Talk to the people.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, whatever. So, it's 2019. You got to be accepting of this stuff.
Oh, I accept it. Please, you accept.
Accept what? Speaking of accepted, Trent was also an accepted. He was a douche here. He's a douche here. He punches Clay in the face because he doesn't want him in his house. The lights get cut. Now they're starting to freak out. What's going on? We need to call the cops. Oh, my God.
And he's just trying to kick him out of the house.
Yeah, pretty much.
was like, "Get out of the house."
He just, So Lawrence goes because Chewie is in trouble. He's got to go help Chewie. He runs down to the shed, quickly finds that Chewie's dead. I'm a poet. I don't know it. I rhyme everything because that's what I do. He comes hauling butt back. No, 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 no. I don't want to die. I'm the black guy. I always die in these movies. And whoosh, bam, axe in the back. You know, you think you know somebody. You see this poor little kid who has had a rough life. His mom got her head cut off. He's hideous. He's just trying to make friends, and then he stabs everyone in the back and just throws a curveball. I thought Jason was going to be a nice guy.
Yeah, there's your judge of character there.
Yeah, I mean, I am doing a YouTube show with.
That's the only good judgment he's ever had.
No, he's terrible at softball too. So back to the movie.
Lies.
They try to call the police. The sheriff that we see earlier, the one that only had 12 hours to learn his lines, the sheriff comes back to the house. He's banging on the door. And, of course, what happens?
Jason comes down and just poke her right through the eye, through the door. Actually, almost hits the Jenna character through the door.
He just has no respect for people's personal space.
I don't see why. Why
Yeah.
not? I mean, they're on his land, technically. He lives
Well, I mean, that house wouldn't be on the land because he would have killed them a long time ago.
But the parents, they were in the teenagers. It was the parents' house. So, I don't know.
Sure. So we see the cops dead. We see Trent finds a gun, and they're all alone in the dark, and they're trying to figure out a game plan.
Well, they think the gun is actually gonna do something against Jason, which they assume. He's like, "Give me the gun. You can't use the gun," and then he just starts firing off shots at the girl who dies. The girl, Juliana.
What if the gun they had was this gun?
That's a damn minigun!
I mean, come on, that gun? That gun?
Yeah.
I mean, you got Jason's arm over there, his head over there, and again, unless he's made of liquid metal,
I mean, yeah.
movie done. Done. Just once. Kill him. So, we see a couple deaths back to back here. I know we already talked about the cops, but it's actually Bree's death comes first. We see there's an open window. She's in the bathroom. She yanks the shower curtain open. Oh, he's not there. But bam, he's right behind her. He ends up grabbing her,
So she doesn't
picking her
scream.
up, and basically hooking her back. It looked like it was antlers,
Looked like
but
antlers.
like a shower hook antlers.
Yeah.
So
like when you hang a robe or
yeah,
something.
yeah. And she's dead. He kills the cop, as we said, right through the eye. And Trent's got the gun. He kind of starts going shoot crazy.
Shooting everything, anything that makes a sound.
And he ends up shooting into the door and shooting Bree, who, if she wasn't dead, she's definitely dead now. They kind of push the door open, see she's dead. Oh, he killed Bree. Let's go. So they run down to the car.
The police car. He runs
They
out of the
run
police
down
car.
to the police car. Clay's keys are missing. Trent is still being a douche. Like, hey, come on, Jenna, leave him. And again, with a little bit of comedy, but a great scene, we see Bree's wonderful, stupendous body.
Throw it out the window. I love
great.
that game. It's hilarious.
That's yeah.
The new Scream Queen.
Yeah, he's Jamie Lee Curtis. Move out of the way. Jennifer
So-
Love Hewitt, take a hike. We got
So he tries to get all the radio,
Yep.
tries to get on the radio, try to get cops.
It's been disconnected.
Yeah.
Tore it apart. So we see the split here. We see Jenna and Clay run off this way, and we see Trent go off on his own in this direction. He trips, falls, loses the gun.
In the water, looking for
He's
her.
looking for it, can't find it. He runs up to the road, almost gets run over. And the person in the truck isn't talking. He's not reacting. We just see an arm out the window. Excuse me. An arm out the window saying, move up. I honestly, I'm not saying that I necessarily thought that it was Jason, but
But you can't put a red herring in a movie like this.
I feel like that scene was done to make people go, is that Jason? Like the mannerisms, in a situation like that, people are usually going to burst out of the car yelling. That was purposely done to make you look this way, and then he's this way.
I mean, I guess that they're new, like seeing in 2009 compared to when we watched it in the 80s and 90s. I had people looking at 2009, looking at it like they don't know, because a lot of people don't know Jason or Friday the
yeah, but I
13th.
mean, with the way they have Jason in this movie, it's really not out of the realm of possibility for him to be driving at this point. I mean, he's learned how to do quite a bit of things on his own. So, but either way, it was a distraction. You're looking this way, and then sleight of hand, he's over here, and we get probably the most gruesome death. What do you think?
I don't know about the most gruesome.
What would be more? I'm trying to think if there's anything in this that would. I mean,
that bear trap was pretty brutal.
yeah, the bear trap was pretty bad, but I don't know. So, Trent finally gets what's coming to him,
And then he just
he's
pulls it
yanking him up off the ground with it, and then he just goes, screw you, and impales him on the back of a tow truck. I mean, it's like a reverse hood ornament.
Yeah,
a Trent hood ornament.
And
Only
he
$9.99.
He got what he deserved.
He did, yeah. I don't think there's really anything that could have been done worse. Maybe.
He could have been quite.
He was a really big dick.
He was.
Yeah. So the whole man drives off, leaving a witness, which you didn't like.
Yeah, it's just weird how Jason left the witness. Like, he saw him. Like,
I think he probably figured that guy's gonna be dead, in like in the next 30 years.
I mean, he was an auction. He did like.
They're not gonna believe him.
Yeah.
They're gonna think that he fell out and just fell like that.
Anyway.
So we kind of get towards the end of the movie now. Now everything's starting to wrap up. They get down into Jason's lair's tunnel system. They find his sister. So now the main character, the second main character, Clay, and the sister, they're all together. So they're rushing because they know he's coming. They get her unhooked. They end up Titanicking, to break the chain.
The chains, yeah.
Yep. I didn't believe it in Titanic. I don't believe it in this.
Titanic. Where'd you get that phrase? The Titanic with the...
Yeah, but the handcuffs, the axe.
I
I trust you, Rose.
Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah, sorry.
Another pair of boobs. Yeah, it was a good movie.
Hey.
Anyway, come on. It's still like the third best grossing movie of all time.
And I haven't watched the whole thing yet.
No, it's a work day tomorrow. So we see them, and they're down in his tunnel system. They're running, and...
Well, they go through a lot of dead ends, too. They open up doors. There's, like, bodies everywhere.
Yep, bodies here. There's a dead end here. We have to go up here. So Whitney and Clay get through. They're pulling Jenna up, and the unthinkable happens. The main character, I would call her the main character.
Well, yeah.
The movie is focused primarily around her. I mean, Clay is a huge character, but pretty much most of the focus has been on Jenna.
Yeah, she's been in a lot of scenes.
And they killed her. And I thought that was, honestly, I thought it was great.
I mean, yes, I do see why that she had to go. Like I said, you can't have more than 2 survivors or anything like that. Like, if you walk out with 3, like, is it really, like...
But I think it threw everybody a curveball, too. I mean, somebody's going to die there, but...
Yeah, more people have to
happen. But that's actually not how it was originally intended to go. The original ending in the script was she escapes right there with them, and they end up in, like, an old abandoned bus.
Yep.
And she makes a joke that, maybe their second date will be a little bit more romantic. And she ends up getting killed with a fire extinguisher.
That sounds cool.
Don't know how. But they basically the budget ran out, so they didn't have any money left to finish that part, so they ended up going the direction they did.
I like the part that they left in, especially with the school bus and everything like that. And, I actually like the scene where Clay gets beat up a lot, and you automatically assume that he's dead.
Yeah.
Like, he's gone. Like, and she's like, Whitney's survival mode once again because she thinks everyone's dead. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a great place.
I don't necessarily think that the fire extinguisher stuff would have been better. I would have liked to see some type of interaction where they say something like, our next date would be, just something
I think it's too
to
mushy.
kind of...
I think that's kind of a...
But I think, what I like about that is that you're really showing emotion with this character and watching Jason tear her from his hands. He's gone through so much to get his sister back, and that happy moment is there, and then there's this potential other happiness there between them, and just to rip it out of your hands.
But I don't think the establishment wasn't established enough. They met that afternoon.
And I think it would have been nice to give them something, because you could tell the whole premise of this was they obviously like each other, and it's in a high stress situation, so that's not going to be the focus. But I think it would have really not made the moment more... I think it would have brought a little bit something else to the moment. I think it could have easily been overdone, but I wouldn't have minded seeing that. I think it would have been pretty cool. So we get the pretty much...
I don't think it's needed.
We get the climax needed? No, but I think it would have improved it. But we get the climax scene where they're pretty much back. They've been running.
Back to the barn.
And they're back to the barn where, of course, they're gonna throw him into the wood chipper, right? I mean, it's a wood chipper. You're gonna do it.
No.
No,
they're not.
they don't.
They try to.
They don't. They don't do it. I can't say the F word anymore, even if we bleep it out, because YouTube's up. Hole.
Now, please like. All those times the likes were on his face. Just like every time. Okay, cool. Anyway.
I made sure that I covered my mouth so they couldn't even lip read what I said.
Well,
but
I cover your face anyway whenever you curse.
Cover this? Don't want to do that. I'm like a nickel pop.
No, something pop. Anyway.
So Clay pretty much gets his ass whipped. Can I say?
Oh, yeah.
Can I say ass?
Yeah.
Good. Clay pretty much gets his ass whipped. I mean, really bad. To the point where we think he's dead. And in comes his sister playing mama.
Yep.
Jason, it's okay. Jason. And he's...
Not with the sweater, with the necklace.
He's... Mama, I love you. And then...
Clay hits him with the...
Bam! And we get the
With the
chain
chain.
wrapped around the neck. Yeah. And...
Throws it in the
He's
wood
been
chipper.
betrayed. Yet again, Jason is the innocent person in this movie. Jason could easily have been the good guy in this situation if filmed from a different perspective. He was born challenged. He was born hideous. But on the inside, he just wanted to be loved. And the one person that loved him, the one person that cared about him, the one person that didn't let him drown was his mother. And you know what they did to his mother? I'll tell you what they did to his mother. They chopped her head off. And he had to sit there with his mother's head and body. Mama! It's like Bambi all over again. And then these people, he just wants to be left alone. He's on his property. He's by himself. He's not hurting anyone. He's smoking a little ganja. He's planting a little herb. But these high-smoking teenagers, they just come up and bother him. So he's got to put the caca into the... So... I am of the opinion that Jason is the good guy.
Now we've heard from the mama's boy perspective. Now,
She died 10 years ago on the 18th.
his mom died when?
So we get this great scene, and do you know what we don't get? Do you know what we don't get, Tony? I'll tell you what we don't get. Wood chipper!
I mean, technically, the wood chipper happens.
It chokes him out because, Jason's gonna die from getting choked out.
Like right
Sorry for the delay. Tony was not feeling good, so I'm gonna finish up. Hey, you're back.
Yeah.
Hey.
I can't really talk right now, but...
Hey, Slugger.
Hey.
Come on up. I was just talking about how we kind of reached the end of the movie. They do not wood chipper him. The wood chipper chokes him out with the chain. They do a little this, a little bit of that. And somehow they think that that's enough to kill him. And
All right, cool. What it is?
yeah, well, they think that it's a good idea to just dump him in the water, a la...
That always works.
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
That always works.
Yeah, I
always
mean,
works. It's,
You got this
historically.
huge wood chipper, so we can chop him in a million pieces, or we can just dump him over the edge. And that was a great idea, because what happens? Movie over. So,
Yeah.
all in all, I really like this movie. I thought it was a great sequel, reboot, whatever you want to call it. I thought it was really good. I'm not an expert on the Friday the 13th series. I'm not an expert on those movies. I've seen the first one, the second one, the third one a little bit. Beyond that, not much. I would say, with the exception of maybe the original, this is probably one of my favorites. This and Freddy vs. Jason I really liked.
Yeah. See, I like the brutalness in this movie. I like how gory it is. I like the I like the soundtrack to it. Like a lot of elements they added into it, like some of the story elements they added to it, kind of just made the story better. And I think that coming from the first one, which actually originally I don't like the first one all that much. It's okay. Like I like the mom's the killer, that you don't know who the killer is. The second one, a little bit better because it gets a little bit more gory. And you see Jason in the mask.
And it just eventually just gets a little ridiculous. It's like all these
yeah.
slasher
When you get the five,
flicks.
when you get the five, like Roy, come on, Roy.
Roy.
Anyway,
But, at the end of the day, I really like this movie. You know, I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10. I probably wouldn't even give it a 9 out of 10. I'd put it in the range of probably 6.5, 7, but
7.
it's enjoyable. And if I had to pick, my favorite part of the movie, it would definitely be the boobs.
No, you don't say.
I don't know if you guys, I know you guys probably thought that I was going to throw a curveball to you, but, Willa Ford and Juliana Gill, Juliana Gill, good Lord. No, honestly, from a serious standpoint, if I really had to pick a favorite part, I'd probably be Trent's. Like, I thought that was pretty cool.
I like the gore overall in this movie.
Yeah.
The practical special effects that were done in this were great. There was some CGI, but it wasn't that much.
It wasn't too much, yeah. I like how they kind of explained him a little more. They gave a little bit of a, his hunting, his survivalist. I like that aspect.
More
I like
realistic.
that they had to move a little bit quicker. I thought all in all that it was a good movie. And as of 2017, they were supposed to do a direct follow-up to that movie. It was supposed to come out in October of 2017. And sometime in early 2017, they put the kibosh on it. They axed it, and it wasn't made. But
Well, I think they found a good story that they wanted to do.
yeah,
Well, it's hard to do, especially do a follow-up to that, especially because you got to match the gore, and then you got to go up another level. It's just hard to do to keep,
when you're
keep sequels.
Yeah, you're talking 8 years past it. I mean, it works sometimes. We see Zombieland coming out 10 years later, but a lot of times you want to keep it within that few-year range.
Yeah.
And if it was something that had exploded on the scene and done amazing all around, maybe. But maybe we'll see it down the line. Maybe we won't. But
Well, they want to make a new Nightmare on Elm Street. They want to make a new one of those. They want to reboot it again. Which
the last one
was terrible.
Yeah, the last
Terrible.
one didn't do that great. And there was one thing I wanted to actually bring up that I didn't earlier. I forgot. When I told you guys this movie was released on February 13th, 4 years before my birthday, or 4 days before my birthday, February 13th, 2009. It was a Friday the 13th, obviously, but there was 3 Friday the 13th in 2009. I believe it was February, November, and I don't remember March.
Oh, 3 Friday 13th, yeah.
I don't remember where I wrote
The date, Friday the 13th. There's 3 of them. Yeah. November, the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with
Where are
that.
my notes?
There was 3.
My notes are
Promise.
kind of erratic. They say geniuses are often non-organized.
No, you just can't read your handwriting.
And there are, that is true. I have terrible handwriting. And there was also when I was doing the research, I saw a few numbers that I was a little bit confused about.
Numbers.
Not confused, but there was some conflicting information is what I mean. It was the kill count throughout the entire series.
Yeah.
One said that it was 167 people Jason killed. Another one said that it was 199, but the most accurate that I could find that counted every single person and broke it down into Jason or other people killing. Some of them were repeats. They didn't count dream sequences. They didn't count virtual reality or whatever that I guess was the sequence.
Well, that was from Jason X.
Yep.
From the 2 camp girls.
Of course
two camp girls. Well, actually, one of my favorite scenes was they picked up the sleeping bag and just banged it against a tree. That was one of my favorite scenes in the whole series.
But it ended up being that there was 203 overall kills, and 151 of them were done by Jason. That seemed to be the most reliable that I could find.
I think he has the most kills in all of horror movie franchises. I believe it is.
I would not doubt that. They actually killed 13 people in this movie. 14 total if you include Jason's mother, but at the hands of Jason, there were 13, which has been done a couple other times in the Friday the 13th.
It's a good kill count. Good kill count.
Yep, in the franchise. So, I mean, that's it for me. My useless knowledge and research is done. Guys, let's give it up for Juliana Gill's boobs. And
Stupendous.
If you see this, actually, you know what? You're happily married.
Still.
Kaylee Cuoco, at some point, you're going to see this. Someone is going to know you who sees this video. We may only have a few hundred views per video now, but there's going to be a time and there's going to be a day where we are seeing hundreds of thousands of views. Kaylee
Maybe tens of
Cuoco,
thousands. Hundreds of thousands.
if you're single at that point, let me take you out to dinner.
I don't
In the
co-sign.
meantime, I'm going to get my Yoo-hoo, which better be in the fridge. Or do you know how great Juliana Gill's boobs are?
Yeah.
The exact opposite of that is going to happen to you. Oh, my monster's empty too? Well, it's a good time
There's
for some Yoo-hoo.
It's in there. You'll be fine.
Okay.
Keep looking. It's not in there. It's not in there. So he's gonna keep looking. But
No, you who in here? Open this door. Open the door. God, what did you put in front of this? This is ridiculous. I don't know what you think you're doing or who you think you are, but I swear to you on everything that is holy that if my Yoo-hoo is not in this fridge by the next time, I'm gonna take my foot and shove it straight up your...
he's been saying that for a year now. Anyway, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell so you can get notified every time we put out a new video. And as you know, this is Killer Collab. We'll see you next time.